the billionaire's mansion, the 8-year-old threw a ceramic figurine at my head, screaming, "I hate you. I hate all of you. I want my mommy." Then she collapsed, sobbing, and I realized what 11 other nannies had missed completely. This wasn't a spoiled billionaire's daughter having tantrums. This was a grieving child drowning in guilt and pain that no adult had bothered to understand. While they saw behavioral problems worth $150,000 in annual nanny turnover costs, I saw trauma patterns I'd studied extensively during my child psychology degree and 5 years treating troubled kids. My name is Ellie Green, and unlike the previous 11 nannies who'd quit James Turner's household in 18 months, I had strategic advantages they didn't know existed. My master's degree in developmental psychology, specialized training in childhood grief therapy, and experience with high-net-worth families dealing with loss gave me tools that domestic agencies don't typically provide. When the Preston Nanny Agency called about the Turner position, even Mrs. Preston seemed defeated. "I'll be honest, Ellie. This is our most challenging placement. We've sent 11 professional nannies to that house, and not one lasted 3 weeks. The child destroys property, refuses all structure, and has made grown women cry." "What specific behaviors are we talking about?" I asked, already analyzing the psychological profile. Tantrums lasting hours, throwing paint at caregivers, hiding belongings, calling police, claiming kidnapping. Last week, she dumped an entire bottle of shampoo on nanny number 11. The father pays $4,500 weekly because he's desperate, but the emotional toll is devastating. That weekly rate caught my attention. $234,000 annually just for childcare, suggesting either extreme behavioral issues or a parent who'd run out of options. What about the mother's involvement in discipline? The pause told me everything. The mother passed 2 years ago. Cancer. It's just Mr. Turner and Ivy now, and he travels frequently for business. Suddenly, the behavioral patterns made perfect sense. An 8-year-old who'd lost her mother, with a father likely using work to cope with grief. The impossible child was displaying textbook trauma responses that previous nannies had tried to discipline away instead of addressing the root cause. "I'll take the position," I said without hesitation. "Ellie, you don't understand. This child has systematically broken down experienced caregivers. The pay is excellent because the job is nearly impossible." "Mrs. Preston, I've worked with grieving children before. Sometimes the most difficult behavior comes from the deepest pain. I have strategies the others didn't." That confidence wasn't misplaced. After completing my psychology degree, I'd spent 8 months in clinical settings before realizing traditional 50-minute weekly sessions couldn't address complex childhood trauma. Kids would make breakthroughs in my office only to regress because their daily environment remained unchanged. That's when I shifted to residential care, using psychological training in holistic settings where I could provide consistent therapeutic relationships during ordinary moments that traditional therapy couldn't reach. My approach had achieved remarkable results with 3 previous high-profile families. This included a senator's son dealing with adoption trauma and a tech CEO's daughter struggling with anxiety disorders. Each family had paid premium rates of $180,000 to $250,000 annually for what they called psychological childcare. I wasn't just a nanny. I was a live-in child development specialist who happened to provide daily care. The Turner estate was massive. Iron gates, circular driveway accommodating 12 cars, and a mansion worth approximately $15 million based on the neighborhood. But as I approached the front steps, I focused on the psychological environment rather than the wealth display. James Turner answered personally, appearing younger than expected but with exhausted eyes that spoke of sleepless nights and constant worry. "Miss Green, thank you for coming. I'll be honest, I'm not optimistic, but Mrs. Preston speaks highly of your qualifications." "Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Turner. I'm looking forward to meeting Ivy." He led me through rooms that looked magazine perfect but unlived in. We reached a family area showing actual use: scattered books, children's drawings on the refrigerator, toys in a basket. This told me the family had retreated to smaller, more manageable spaces since the mother's death. "Ivy," he called upstairs, "come meet Miss Green." The response was immediate and hostile. "No, I don't want another stupid nanny. Tell her to go away." Mr. Turner's jaw tightened with visible embarrassment. "I'm sorry. She's been like this since her mother died. I've tried everything: therapy, discipline, rewards, consequences. Nothing works." "How long did she attend therapy?" "About 6 months, but she refused to participate, just sat silent or threw tantrums. Eventually, the therapist said continuing was pointless if Ivy wouldn't engage." I filed that information away as a strategic error. "Mr. Turner, would you mind if I went upstairs? Sometimes children respond differently in their own space." He looked skeptical. "You can try, but I should warn you, she's thrown things before. Last week she dumped shampoo on nanny number 11. "I'll take my chances." Climbing the grand staircase, I followed sounds of furniture being moved. The hallway displayed family photos showing the progression from happy 3-person pictures to recent forced smiles between father and daughter. The visual timeline of grief was evident in every frame. At Ivy's door, I knocked gently while analyzing the situation strategically. "Go away," came the expected response. "Hi, Ivy. I'm Ellie. I'm not here to make you do anything. I just wanted to say hello." I said, "Go away. I don't want another stupid nanny." "That's okay. You don't have to want me here. Can I ask what happened with the last nanny?" Silence. Then a small giggle quickly stifled. "She was mean. She said I was a brat and that my mommy would be ashamed of me." My heart clenched. That explained everything. The nanny had used the child's greatest fear as a disciplinary tool. That was a terrible thing to say. "Your mom would never be ashamed of you." "How do you know? You didn't even know my mommy." "You're right, I didn't. But I know mommies love their children no matter what, even when they're not here anymore." The door opened a crack, revealing enormous brown eyes filled with suspicion and pain. "Are you going to make me clean my room and eat vegetables and go to bed early? Is that what the others tried to do?" "Yes. And they said I had to stop being sad about mommy because it was making daddy upset." I felt a surge of professional anger at the previous caregivers. "Ivy, can I tell you a secret? I think being sad about your mommy makes perfect sense. I would be sad too if my mommy wasn't here." "Really?" The door opened wider. "Really. In fact, I was very sad when my mommy died. I was 16, but I was still very, very sad." "Your mommy died too?" For the first time, genuine curiosity replaced hostility. "She did. And sometimes I'm still sad about it, even though it was 10 years ago." That's when Ivy's expression suddenly hardened. "I don't believe you. You're just saying that to make me like you. All the nannies lie." "I'm not lying, Ivy. My mother really did die when I was—" "Prove it," she screamed, her face contorting with rage. "Everyone lies. Everyone says things to make me be good, and then they leave." Before I could react, she grabbed the ceramic figurine, a delicate ballerina, and hurled it at my head. I ducked as it shattered against the wall behind me, followed by books, stuffed animals, and a picture frame crashing to the floor. "I hate you. I hate all of you. I want my mommy." Then, as suddenly as it started, the storm passed. Ivy collapsed among the destruction, sobbing with raw, broken sounds that emerged from the deepest places of grief. I heard footsteps running upstairs, Mr. Turner responding to the noise, but I held up a hand when he appeared, signaling him to wait. Slowly, I stepped into the room and sat on the floor 6 feet from Ivy. Close enough that she knew I wasn't leaving, but not so close as to crowd her during her emotional breakdown. "I don't know if you're telling the truth about your mom," she whispered through her sobs. "And you're right that other people have probably lied to you. You're absolutely right that I don't understand everything. I don't understand what it's like to be you or lose your mommy when you're 8. She peeked at me through her fingers. But I do understand what it's like to be so angry and sad that you want to break everything around you. I understand what it's like to feel like everyone's lying or trying to make you feel better with words that don't mean anything. You do? She whispered. Yes, I shouted at my dad and told my teachers I hated them even when I didn't mean it. I broke some important things, too. I threw my dad's coffee mug against the wall because I was so angry that he was drinking coffee like everything was normal, when nothing would ever be normal again. Ivy sat up slightly. Did you get in trouble? Yes, but you know what my dad said afterward? He said, I understand why you're angry. I'm angry too. But next time you feel like breaking something, let's find something that's okay to break so you don't hurt yourself or break something important. Then he gave me a box of old dishes I could smash against the fence whenever I felt like breaking things. Did it help? It did. Not because breaking things fixed anything, but because someone finally understood that I needed to get angry feelings out somehow. Ivy looked around at her destruction. Broken figurine pieces, scattered toys, overturned furniture. I made a big mess. You did, but messes can be cleaned up. And I think you needed to make this mess to show me how angry and sad you are. I did. Because now I know. You're not just a little girl who throws tantrums. You're a little girl who misses her mommy so much that sometimes the feelings get too big for your body to hold. As we cleaned together, I noticed something that broke my heart completely. Ivy had rearranged all her furniture, bed, dresser, toy chest against the walls, leaving the center completely empty. She'd created a fortress to keep the world out. This is very creative, I said honestly. You made your own special space in the middle. The other nanny said it was messy and made me put everything back. Can you tell me why you wanted it this way? Ivy sat cross-legged in her empty space, because when everything is pushed away, nothing can fall on me or break or disappear. The wisdom and pain in that statement was devastating. This child had learned that things and people she loved could vanish without warning, so she was trying to control her environment the only way she knew how. That makes a lot of sense, I said, sitting across from her. When things disappear, it's scary. Mommy disappeared, Ivy said matter-of-factly. Daddy said she went to heaven, but I think she went away because I was bad. There it was, the core issue. Oh, sweetheart, no. Your mommy didn't go away because you were bad. She got sick, and sometimes when people get very sick, their bodies stop working even though they don't want to leave. But if I had been better, maybe she would have tried harder to stay. This little girl had been carrying imagined guilt for 2 years, while adults focused on managing her behavior instead of addressing her trauma. Ivy, when my mom died, I thought it was my fault too. I thought if I'd been a better daughter, maybe she wouldn't have gotten sick, but that wasn't true. Mommies don't die because their children are bad. They die because sometimes bodies get sick in ways doctors can't fix. Over the next hour, Ivy told me about her mother, making funny-shaped pancakes, reading 3 bedtime stories, smelling like flowers, brushing her hair 100 times each night. When I offered to brush her hair the way her mother used to, counting to 100, I could feel tension leaving her small body. "Are you going to leave like the other nannies?" she asked as I finished. "I'm going to try very hard to stay if you'll let me. What if I have tantrums or break things? Then we'll figure out together why you're feeling upset and find better ways to handle those big feelings. You're not a brat, Ivy. You're a little girl who misses her mom very much, and that's completely normal." When Mr. Turner checked on us later, he found us looking through photo albums of Ivy's mother, with her curled against my side, sharing stories about each picture. "She's never let any other nanny look at those photos," he said, amazement in his voice. "Daddy, Ellie's mom died too, just like mine, and she said it's okay to be sad and think about Mommy." I saw hope flicker in Mr. Turner's expression for the first time since I'd arrived. Over the following weeks, I implemented therapeutic strategies none of the previous nannies possessed. Instead of imposing structure and discipline, I focused on helping Ivy process grief and develop emotional regulation skills. We created a memory box for her mother, planted a garden with her favorite flowers, and established bedtime rituals honoring her memory while creating new traditions. Most importantly, we talked daily about feelings: sadness, anger, fear, confusion. I taught Ivy that all emotions were acceptable, but there were healthy and unhealthy ways to express them. When you feel angry, instead of throwing things, what else could you do? I asked after a minor meltdown. I could tell you I'm angry. Perfect. What else? Draw an angry picture or punch a pillow or run around the backyard. There are lots of ways to get angry feelings out without hurting people or breaking things. The behavioral changes were remarkable. Within 6 weeks, tantrums became rare and less intense. More importantly, Ivy started coming to me when upset instead of bottling emotions until they exploded. "Ellie, I'm feeling sad about Mommy today," she said one afternoon. "Thank you for telling me. Do you know what's making you extra sad?" "Tommy at school said his mommy is coming to the play next week, and I remembered my mommy can't come to my school plays ever again." That must have felt hard to hear. It did. I wanted to push Tommy, but I remembered what you said about angry feelings, so I came to tell you instead. These moments of emotional intelligence were transforming Ivy from a child who expressed everything destructively into someone learning to identify and communicate feelings appropriately. The real breakthrough came when Mr. Turner returned from a business trip to find Ivy and me cooking dinner together, her standing on a step stool, stirring soup, while chatting happily about her day at school. "She's cooking," he said, staring in amazement. "We've been working on life skills. It gives her control and accomplishment. And she's not. There's no tantrum, no broken dishes." "Daddy, I'm a good girl," Ivy said matter-of-factly. "Well, sometimes I'm not, but most times I am. Ellie taught me that when I feel like having a tantrum, I should tell her what's wrong instead. She also taught me it's okay to miss Mommy and that missing her doesn't mean I can't be happy sometimes too." That evening, Mr. Turner and I discussed Ivy's progress in his study. I could see exhaustion in his face from 2 years of single parenting, a grieving child while managing his own grief and running a demanding company. "What did you do that 11 other nannies couldn't? How did you get through to her?" I listened to what her behavior was telling me, instead of trying to stop it. Ivy wasn't acting out because she was spoiled or undisciplined. She was drowning in grief and guilt that no one had helped her process. Guilt? She blamed herself for her mother's death. She thought if she'd been a better child, her mother would have tried harder to stay alive. Mr. Turner's face went pale. "She never told me that." Children often can't express complex feelings verbally. They express them through behavior, the tantrums, destruction, refusal to bond with caregivers. It was all her way of saying, "I'm in pain and don't know how to handle it." But we tried therapy. Sometimes children aren't ready for formal therapy immediately. They need to feel safe and understood first. Ivy needed someone to validate her feelings and help her understand that grief is normal, not something to get over quickly. I paused, then addressed the larger issue. "Mr. Turner, I don't think Ivy is the only one who needs to process this loss. When did you last talk about your wife? When did you last allow yourself to grieve instead of staying busy with work?" His laugh was bitter. "I don't have time to grieve. I have a company to run and a daughter to raise." But staying busy doesn't make grief disappear. It just postpones it. Children are perceptive. Ivy senses you're avoiding your own pain, which makes her feel she needs to avoid hers too. "So what are you suggesting?" "I think you should consider therapy for yourself. And you and Ivy should spend more time talking about her mother together. She needs to know it's safe to miss her mom around you. Every time she mentions her mother, I feel like I'm going to fall apart." "That's okay. It's okay to cry in front of your daughter. It shows her that grief is normal and that you miss her mother too." Over the following months, I watched the Turner family slowly heal. Mr. Turner started therapy and reduced his work hours to spend more time with Ivy. They established new traditions while honoring old ones, visited her mother's grave on her birthday, and talked about her openly. Ivy continued thriving. Her tantrums became rare, and when she had difficult moments, she had tools to communicate feelings instead of acting out. She made friends at school, participated in activities, and slowly began trusting that people she loved wouldn't disappear without warning. "Ellie," she said one evening as I tucked her into bed, "I'm not sad about Mommy today." "That's okay. You don't have to be sad every day." "I know, but I wanted to tell you because I used to think that if I wasn't sad, it meant I was forgetting her. But now I know I can be happy and still remember her." "That's exactly right. Your mommy would want you to be happy. I think she would like you. I think she'd be glad you came to take care of me. I think she would be proud of how brave and strong you've become." 18 months after starting with the Turner family, Mr. Turner called me into his study for what I expected would be a routine progress discussion. "Ellie, I need to tell you something. I've been offered a position requiring us to relocate to London for 2 years." My heart sank at the thought of leaving this family I'd grown to love. "I wanted to ask if you'd consider coming with us. You've become such an important part of our lives. I can't imagine Ivy adjusting to a new caregiver again, especially with such a major move." "Mr. Turner, I can't think of anything I'd rather do than continue being part of Ivy's life." True to his word, Mr. Turner supported my continued education throughout our time together. While caring for Ivy, I completed my master's degree in child psychology through online courses and weekend intensives, with the family adjusting schedules to accommodate my studies. "Why are you still studying?" Ivy asked one evening, finding me surrounded by textbooks. "You already know how to help kids." "Because there's always more to learn. Every child is different, and I want all the tools I need to help them." "Are you learning about kids like me?" "All kinds of kids. Sad ones, angry ones, scared ones, ones who have trouble making friends. The more I learn, the better I can help." My studies took on new meaning as I applied theoretical concepts to real situations with Ivy. I wrote my master's thesis on attachment and grief in early childhood, drawing on our experiences while maintaining privacy. I pursued specialized training in play therapy, art therapy, and trauma-informed care, with Mr. Turner paying for conferences and workshops. "Ellie isn't just our nanny," I overheard him tell a colleague. "She's a child development specialist who happens to live with us. Ivy gets individualized expert care most families could never access." During our London years, I connected with child psychologists at Great Ormond Street Hospital, observing their work and learning different therapeutic approaches. I even started a support group for expatriate families dealing with childhood grief and trauma. "I want to do what you do when I grow up," Ivy told me as she watched me prepare materials for the support group. "What do you think I do?" "You help kids feel better when they're sad or scared. You listen to them and don't try to make them stop feeling things." "That's a good description. Would you like to help kids someday?" "Maybe. Or maybe I'll help grown-ups who don't know how to help kids, like Daddy before you came." At 11, she possessed sophisticated emotional intelligence that many adults lacked. She still missed her mother and always would, but had learned that grief and joy could coexist. That loving someone gone doesn't mean you can't love people who are here. Mr. Turner remarried a wonderful woman named Jordan, who understood she wasn't replacing Ivy's mother but adding to their family. Ivy suggested they should marry and helped plan the wedding. "I think Mommy would like Jordan," she told me as we picked flowers for the ceremony. "I think she'd be happy Daddy isn't sad all the time anymore." As for me, I discovered that sometimes our most important work isn't the career we planned, but the life we stumble into when following our hearts. I never intended to become permanent family, but couldn't imagine life any other way. I learned that children labeled difficult or impossible are often just hurting in ways adults don't understand. That grief doesn't follow timelines, and healing happens not when we stop missing people we've lost, but when we learn to carry love for them alongside love for people still here. Ivy still has moments when grief hits like a wave, but now has tools to ride those waves instead of being pulled under. The little girl who once pushed furniture against walls to protect herself from loss has learned that love is worth the risk of losing it. And the nanny who was supposed to be temporary found her permanent home in the space between grief and healing, in the beautiful mess of a family learning to love again.